Have any request for dispensation? No. Right, I should have probably read the housekeeping notices first, but you know, we have to mix it up, keep it fresh. So, there are no planned fire alarms. If the alarm should sound, please exit the building using the nearest available fire exit, which is the one here. Once leaving the building, please make your way to the muster point, which is located by the staff car park and is identified by a green sign positioned in the shrub bed. Please make yourself known to a member of staff on duty. This meeting may be recorded. The meeting may also be recorded and broadcast by the press and members of the public. Please see section 8 of the guidance for public participation, including recordings and use of social media at meetings. Thank you. I notified the whole wall here that we don't have the police with us.
No, we have. Now, contacted and invited into the meeting. We subsequently invited them to attend at 6:30 prior to the council meeting. Not available.
Okay. I think it would be good if we showed the rest of the members of council. We need to speak to the police, so we need to arrange a mutually convenient time so we can get in touch with them. So. Councillor Corey.
Well, I would suggest that if they can attend other parish and town council meetings at least once, they should at least, you know, we can give them dates well ahead in advance, September, November, January, March and so forth. And I'm sure there's at least one that they can agree to attend, because as I understand, they have been visiting in some other areas, and we are a big parish. And we deserve to have people attend.
Okay. I suggest we continue this debate in the questions to council.
Okay.
It's just a report. I'm taking that you've all read your agenda pack and it was in there. Minutes of the.
Sorry, it's about that, the access report. Can I say that?
Well, as soon as the AXO's on, yeah.
Because it relates to what they've actually sent us in the agenda, and it also to the police non-attendance. So in the AXO's report, they contain the second tranche I've seen, the results from the speed indicator device. It shows that they redeployed the device on Challenger Way. They had previously deployed it on Challenger Way for certain days. If you look at the detailed results, what it shows is that each day that the speed indicator device was installed on Challenger Way, they typically detected more than 100 people speeding. The top speed on Challenger Way, which is 30 mile an hour limit, is 42.5 miles an hour. So as parish council, as I understand it, the purchase of the speed indicator device for £5,000 was able to gather the evidence of where there is a speeding problem in order to help the police allocate their resources to carry out enforcement for the benefit of our community, particularly road safety. So we've had this twice now. And I think the total is, I was talking to the AXOs about this, it's about 900 people, 900 drivers with the 2 deployments, a few days each, so have been detected speeding. The police, Waterside Police, put a notice out on Facebook last month to say that they had carried out some speed checks using a speed radar gun. One of the places was Challenger Way. They went to 4 roads. On the other roads, they didn't actually detect anyone speeding when they were there. But they noted on the Facebook post, on Challenger Way, they detected many people speeding. I asked the question of the officer who carried out the speed checks, how many of those people have received a notice of intended prosecution? Just to be clear to you, that is not a fine. A notice of intended prosecution gives most drivers who receive it the opportunity to take a speed awareness course, which lasts 3 hours typically, of which they pay £90 and draw that points on their license. It's educational. There's proven evidence that it is educational and results in a lower rate anyway. The police officer's answer was that she issued 0 tickets. I asked why. She said she was there for educational purposes. I queried what the education was. I haven't had an answer. I have not had answers to several questions about this. The the education appears to be that the Facebook post, that having been there, the officer put a Facebook post in which you noted, and therefore we can advise, or I can advise, that the limit is 30 miles an hour. And the officers seem to have some personal concerns that people didn't know it was 30 because it wasn't signed. Whether this influenced her decision, whether it was her decision or a senior officer's decision, I don't know. I'm not aware of any actual enforcement which carries any weight being carried out on Challenger Way. Because from answers I had from the police last year. So I suggest that we could write to the police, given that, I can send you the dialogue I've had by email, where you can quite clearly see the questions asked and answered, to ask simply, will you actually carry out effective enforcement, including issuing tickets on Challenger Way to speeders? Because we have spent £5,000 of our residents' money buying a speed indicator device, and it is one of the worst roads in the parish for speeding.
Councillor Town.
I note the points that the councillors made, and I think that is a really important point, and I would support the idea of writing to ask about action there. But I think the other reason that we have the speed indicator is also for the data, and I think an equally important message is that every time that we contact the county council for traffic calming measures, we are told there isn't the data available, there isn't sufficient infringement for that to happen. So I understand the frustration about the immediate effect of these violations, but I think the cumulative effect will make it much harder for the county council to refuse traffic calming measures in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Wade and Councillor Wade.
Yeah, thank you, President. Well, the point I was going to make earlier, which was very good, is if we have a senior police officer here, we could put that very point to him or her and get a proper answer, like we did in the past when we had the local chief police inspector here. So that's the first point. Second point, is spot on with that. To reduce traffic calming, it's not just the police and the load of tickets, because there's never going to be a policeman there 24/7 every day of the week. So we need to have engineered methods to slow traffic down. And this worked way back in the 90s in Cumberland Way, because we built traffic calming in, and we have those little outlets. And it slowed down the traffic. You can't speed down Cumberland Way anymore because not even parked cars, but also the police buckets that come out. And that's what we need the data for, more because that gives us a long-term solution. So I 100% agree with Philip on that. But I also think Ben has made a point. And if we have a senior police officer here to give an answer, because you don't educate people by putting something on Facebook. You know, they look at it and they think, right, there needs to be a proper answer to that. However, I am a great believer in slowing the traffic down rather than penalising the drivers. So if we can get the data together to get traffic calming in, that will be far more effective than letting paying tickets down.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Councillor Wade.
I won't repeat what's already said, as I agree with all three of them. But it's just that I would like to highlight that the average speeder was over 35 miles an hour every day on the other two roads that were highlighted as well. One.
To carry on, I'm just trying to
get my attention.
Yeah.
One was a road without pedestrian access, and the other is a road off local schools, which are, in terms of ways, got a slope, it builds up hosts. Both of those are flat roads with lots of either no pedestrian or children crossing. So I welcome this data as hopefully a way of having something that deals with situations in the future.
I do believe I was slightly blinking and I didn't see the children at this point.
Sorry, I don't know. Thanks. Okay.
Okay, sorry to do that. Councillor Jones.
I am just going to point out that as I knew that the speeding was going to happen, I'm glad I gave them enough lamp posts with the speed indicator device to go on, because I live on Challenger at the bottom of the slope that comes down towards Beechwood Way. And the dice with death when we're trying to pull out of the road by lunatics coming from the right hand side.
Thank you. Councillor Osborne.
I know you said we'll leave it to later, but I'll just think add to it, invite the police when they can make a meeting and form a subcommittee who can make it when they are available so that it happens sooner, not, September, October, November, sooner. Because we've asked for this, we've asked for this meeting, and I think we deserve one.
Councillor Wilson.
Just one small follow-up. I think my position is the same as Malcolm's position. We're not, and I think probably everyone here, but I won't speak for anyone else, we're not into penalising drivers. Education, but effective education. Almost all of these drivers would have received the opportunity to attend a speed awareness course if they had been issued with a notice of intended prosecution. If they had done so, they would have received 3 hours of education online. They would have had to pay £90. Their details would have been taken. They would have not received any points, no fine. They wouldn't have had to inform their insurer. Okay? The Department of Transport has a study which shows that is effectively reduces the likelihood of reoffending. The only people who wouldn't have been offered it are those who were expeding really excessively, 45 plus and 40, or anybody who has attended a speed awareness course in the past 3 years. If you have done that and you're still speeding, they say you can't go to another speed awareness course, you have to take a point. So we are not asking police to issue points and fines to drivers. We're asking police to actually carry out effective education.
Right, I think hopefully that is all on the ACSO report. Is there any other points anyone would like to report? That would be great. Okay, so, right, now we're on to the minutes, to approve the minutes of the council meeting held on the 28th of May. I'll just go through the page numbers and you can agree. So, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4.
Happy to propose.
Okay, everyone's agreed. Next item on the agenda is announcements from the chair. Announcements? I don't believe I have any announcements. Okay, next, brief verbal reports. Thank you very much for those councillors who've already submitted their reports online, because everyone else has a chance to have a look at them. So thank you very much for that. So we'll start with the brief report, starting with county report. So Councillor Willie.
Thank you, Chairman. It's not quite as brief this time as perhaps you would hope, and I have sent it round just 10 minutes ago. Since the last Christ Council meeting, I'll be quick, I've attended the corporate parenting boards. I spent a day with the New Forest Children's Services team and saw hand-to-hand and 2 looked after children reviews and meeting the trouble with special young person. You see what fantastic job you do. Really is. I also attended the team meetings to listen to the challenging and rewarding elements of their roles looking after children in Hampshire. I took a number of things away from that meeting, but a couple which I mentioned here, as they too feel the financial pinch of the current situation. Secondly, it was clear the reduction in early intervention actions by removing initiatives such as the Sure Start centres has made a negative impact on many young people and families, creating a situation where more children reach the care threshold. Last Thursday I attended an Hampshire Council meeting following straight from the draft report. with reference to the report annexed to the council report, is recommending that the county council recommend that the cabinet agrees that based upon the work completed to date, the county council proposed preferred option is B2 for unitary authorities of Hampshire and the Solent, as set out in Appendix A of the annual report. Agrees to further engage with key stakeholders, residents and members to ensure the proposed option is informed by local views and meets the local needs according to the engagement plan set out in paragraph 57 of the report prior to finalisation of the agreement. Well, option B2 for unitary authority is the following. 1. North, Basingstoke and Dean, East Hampshire, Hart, Rushmore, Winchester. 2. South West, Eastleigh, New Forest, Southampton, Thames Valley. 3. South East, Fareham, Gosport, Avon and Portsmouth. And the 4th is the Isle of Wight, which everyone agrees is going to be on this London. This places us with Southampton as a whole district, while Southampton City Council just want the water side. I spoke and voted against this option and supported the Lindem amendment at Basic House in Hampshire. Think again, because what they're coming up with is not what people want. It was defeated. It was interesting how two of the Tory New Forest district councillors voted in respects who don't voted in the district because they have the total opposite view. Not only voted for the Hampshire option, but spoke how good it was. Work will be interesting. The meeting also confirmed Gary Westbrook as the new chief executive and Carys Cameron agreed to time. Now, of particular interest to everybody else, following on the A326 improvements, Hampshire County Council is currently working on presenting a business case to the Department of Transport and a planning application for approval. To do this, we only need a design that gives us a red line for the scheme boundary, not a detailed design. Although I have mentioned in the previous reports came about 7 crossing points and around a junction and south of Pilgrim, etc. So they are still in outline, haven't got detail how we do this. So it's still early days. In response to questions I received about the recent crossings of the A326 outside the future improvement plan, in regard to the southern section of the A326, the County Council has allocated some study budgets to investigate the feasibility of improving crossing points at A326 around the Dinsbury area. They can confirm that this will consider crossings at Appledore Roundabout, a crossing near Hartley, says Hartley Escape Park, they mean Forest Fund Escape Park, and at the Heath Roundabout. These locations have been identified from various NCWIP inquiries, well known as cyclists, and stakeholder meetings as being key access points for residents living in the area to cross to New Forest. At this stage, it is too early to provide any details of what the scheme might look like, other than that Appledore Roundabout where design is all advanced and a new traffic light crossing is being developed, given that the locations on the National Cycling Network. However, is the bottom part. Hampshire County Council do not have funding to implement these crossing improvements yet, but are working with the New Forest District Council, possible future still funding, and also with Sustrans regarding the crossing. Any crossing design that we undertake, we consider the need for potential use in line with government guidance and best practice. Well, basically, the crossing Appledore is going to be funded by Fawley Waterside Development, which is now in hand. So consequently, there's no money for that at the moment. And all the other ones that they're talking about, they're waiting for some magic funding to come up.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. Now we're on to district councillors. Just to give you a chance to rest your voice, Councillor Wayne, we'll go the other way around. Okay, Councillor Alex Wade, please.
LGR, NFDC has announced their preferred choice for future local authority makeup ahead of September's deadline. NFDC's preferred choice is a rural focused one, with East Hants, Winchester, Test Valley and NFDC. The consultation has asked for views also on NFDC joining Southampton and Eastleigh, and a third consideration of splitting the waterside off from the rest of the district. The decision will not be made by local councillors, but by the government, and local councils in Hampshire have to try and present the strongest possible case for their preference, with data and research to back it up. It has to be said that the politics to be run for the government, certain authorities will be a factor, as will the views of the county unitaries, as we've already heard. There is a large list of unknown factors for councillors and residents to truly make an informed decision. We heard what the county proposed, and there isn't agreement across 16 authorities over Hampton the Isle of Wight. At a high level, NFDC officers are having those discussions with colleagues across the county about how to manage services moving forward. NFDC remains steadfast on its campaign to stay the rural authority, keep the district together. I am more hopeful of the latter than the former, and have deep concerns about the waterside being split to expand Southampton area, after all. Planning motion. The government is consulting on changes about how planning decisions are made by local authorities to encourage more house building and reform the planning system. This includes essentially reducing the number of applications that can go to committee, the number of councillors on a committee, and the feedback of local members and parish and town councils. The LGA is against this, as are most local councils, and there's universal agreement across NFDC to support a motion to write to the government minister objecting to the plans. On my part, I say that LGR making councils bigger and local knowledge on planning was even more important, and councils aren't against building, proven by local plans, but residents want to know their views are considered by elected members. A few members I did disagree with comments on housing. NFDC is obviously closed by Boardwalk Promenade for the time being, as it plans to make 30k improvements. However, at the time it should be open and most successful in the summer months, it remains closed to the public. The procurement process to appoint a contractor to undertake repair and improvement works is underway. NFDC will have a schedule of works once the contractor is appointed, and they plan to keep the barriers in place until the priority works have been completed. Local members will keep you updated. There are concerns about mobility access for wheelchair users at the other end. NFDC have announced their KPIs. 12 of them were related to a resident survey which is no longer running, and I asked that they should be removed and replaced with KPIs connected to current priorities such as new waste collection, customer service feedback, the transformation programme and LGR. I also referenced that many have been easily targeted or are not within control of the council, such as employment numbers, and they need to be more relevant. Another example is how the housing target is now 397 instead of the original 2026 of 600, conveniently laid in our meeting. The council's latest financial position has seen a positive outturn due to interest earnings higher than expected, rephasing and additional grants. A total of 3.3 million positive, with 2.5 being moved to capital reserves. Among the interesting information is the fact that parking revenue is now 100k compared to what it was budgeted for, and indeed an extra 100k on maintenance. Council did ask NFDC to take this opportunity to use the unplanned positive variance to review its plans for the 25-26 budget for projects in our communities, which, while mentioned in the report, they didn't appear to have the cabinet willingness at the time, but we will push for this, as all local members will, because it could be an opportunity to spend locally before LGR. NFDC has approved its asset management disposal of community asset policies, with 5 priorities around digital assets, optimisation, working with partners such as ourselves, reducing the environmental impact and supporting communities. NFDC have 366 assets worth 107.4 million, and a presentation to resources, which is my panel, suggested a focus on savings, efficiencies and possible outsourcing or disposal. There are concerns, obviously, the impacts of local communities and the fact that some of the suggestions contradict each other, and that relying on local communities to fund these may see some valued facilities go down with very little funding to go around. There are concerns over what say local members will have on these decisions. On to complaints. The council has received the latest complaints report, which highlighted a rise of over 110%. I will say it's from 109 to 232. There is a 175% increase in waste collection complaints. This is before phase 1 began, by the way. I'd like to clarify this is all before phase 1 of the delivery. 109% extra for housing maintenance, lack of delivery and quality of service being major issues. It's worth noting that while any rises are good, it is still a small number, comparatively speaking, as many people raise concerns on social media and with us. And as I said, the recording numbers are before phase 1, and I have requested that a monthly or quarterly update is provided so we can have an overview of when there's an impact on the waste when phase 1, 2 and 3 come in, so you can understand why there's been a spike in complaints or not, some fair understanding. And lastly, consultations. LGR is up to the 27th of July. Please all comment. That's the NFDC's consultation. The counties is up to August 17th or 18th. The Public Space Protection Order is inviting residents and visitors to take part in a survey on whether the 2 existing protection orders should be extended for a further 3 years. These are to do with bonfires and fires out in New Forest and feeding wildlife. Absolutely support these. And the domestic abuse strategy is also inviting residents and local consultations to give feedback. So I would urge you to comment on all 3 of those important matters.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Councillor Osborne?
Thank you, Chairman. Can I do my parish climate news or not?
Do that next when it's outside body.
That's what one's okay. Okay, so at the district I asked the fly tipping question, which is what everybody's worried about. Asked for clarification and a leaflet to be produced on when and how to dispose of the dumpings on your private land and residential areas. And the Cabinet members seemed to think that was a jolly good idea if you would look into it. I've been working with the tree officer. There's a lot of reports about the trees on Headstone where we've planted some lovely trees. They're suffering with the lack of water, so they've decided to try and step up the care there. I'm trying to think what else to put in now. We're still hearing reports about the Jibden beacon crossing, not the control crossing, safety and near misses. We had about 4 people turn up at Meet Council this week to tell us their tales, but it's not actually possible to really record that officially, is it?
Thank you. Yeah. Councillor Dowd.
Thank you, Chair. On the 19th of June, I attended the local government reform update on the district council proposal. On the 30th of June, I also attended the local government reform briefing for primary schools. I attended this as governor of a local primary school. This offered a useful insight into the impact on services of the political changes that we are now considering. 2nd of July, Cabinet meeting. I asked a question about the Skills Action Plan, and I raised my concern that there was no specific action to support eligible people with disabilities accessing training at a time when there is government pressure on those who are not in training or work to transition. On the 14th of July, I attended a local plan meeting. The meeting was considering evidence provided by a consultancy looking at the New Forest, including the National Park. This provides an evidence base for housing need up to 2043. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dowd. Councillor Wade.
Right, Chair. Well, I'm not going to read, although it's a smaller before that, because maybe it's been covered by the members. I've said the numerous meetings of LGR and the place of sustainability, but that's in the report. As we go to LGR, I did speak to the leader of the district council suggesting that it might be a good idea to have a plan B and speak to the leader of Southampton City Council if you really want to keep the foresters involved to get them on board. Sadly, that fell on deaf ears. However, what I do want to report to the council is in the report because it's sort of hot off the press. I had a meeting with all the leaders, and we had James Carpenter there, the director in charge of the place, who's responsible overall for phase 1, 2 and 3 of the Weaving rollout. And I was absolutely flabbergasted. We are so lucky that they changed our area from phase 1 to phase 3, or we will be experiencing what the residents of Popular Markets is experiencing now. They totally underestimated the amount of resources. He did admit this because I challenged him on it, and he couldn't argue it. They needed to do this process. Because if you notice, it takes a lot longer to do 4 weed bins than to carry 4 black bags. If that wasn't bad enough, they didn't think that the weight of the weed bin lifters on the refuse trucks add extra weight to the vehicle, which means they can carry less rubbish, and so they have to go to tip more times. This is the reality of what an absolute debacle, incompetent debacle is. And of course, everybody knows they have new arrangements with the refuge operators who used to do chop and finish. So they put more hours and they had to work it. So they won't do any overtime. So there is no overtime. So if they don't get done on Friday, they can't come on Saturday because they won't do it. They are working to rule. So they've got temporary drivers in, the temporary drivers haven't turned up. It's been an absolute diabolical, to such an extent I even told the press, because I was flabbergasted. In all my years as a councillor, I've never seen a project so poorly managed, so poorly executed as this. And the reason that I made a fuss, I really did say you need a really brutal review, find what went wrong to ensure that it doesn't happen again for phases 2 and 3. Because I don't want our residents to have to put up with the diabolical experience that people are in Western Forest. And I feel really sorry for people in Western Forest. And I'm particularly annoyed that people who can't have a wheelie bin, they decided to make, they won't give them black bin bags. Because I remember when Philip and I were back in 2019 on the White Panel, it was agreed that people that couldn't have wheelie bins because their properties wouldn't allow them will be supplied waste bags. I mean, it's really tight and needed stingy not doing that. So it's I don't know what to say really. They've messed up big time.
Thank you.
Sorry about saying something negative.
Encapsulate that to the heart. Is there anyone else of this out in the district?
You.
No. I can't believe I can add anything to the plethora of information that's being given out tonight.
Go first next time. You shouldn't. I talk too much. You should go before.
No, I'm chairing the meeting. Let other people speak. So now we come on to Councillor Osborne. You want a chance to speak here. This is reports from members serving on outside bodies.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes. I'm trying to form more of a link with schools through the climate committee. So we had the meeting last week, and we want to involve, youngsters in as much as that we're going to show support in what each school is doing and what is currently in their curriculum. So I need to email all the councillors here to see who is actually a link councillor with a school. Okay, so that email will be coming out soon, and then just to find out as a governor what the schools are doing, just so that we can show that we're interested. An example of a councillor link is Councillor Dowd. He's had a great success in getting dates for a Hyde foreshore activity with Hyde Primary School, and it should be in September, October, and hopefully, I think the clerk is in support, knows this is happening, on the foreshore pier, because that's where BNT own it. They've pledged a very substantial amount to make it work, and the first group will be Hyde Primary Year 5, 43 children, aged 9 and 10, and it sounds as though it's going to be really good with all the scientists and microscopes and toilets and whatever we need out there for, what's it called, a gazebo if the weather's bad, that kind of thing. So it sounds as a really big move in the right direction. Thank you, Councillor Dowd, for all your work on that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Harrison, could you have your hand up?
Now and again, I report on the Waterside Community Fund Investment Fund, which rose to 10.9 million until Mr. Trump moved his tariff board around and sent all the stock markets into free fall, and that cost us £750,000 just because of him. I'm pleased to say that it is now recovered and is back and surpassed that. It's up to about 11.1 million.
Oh, amazing.
Good.
Very much trying.
Councillor Wade.
It's just to remind to members that Rock the Pier, which through where I used to be chair, is a new rec on the 13th of September, and to remind her that obviously it's an event to encourage the community to go out and enjoy the music and events, but it is also as a fundraising the work and projects that HPHA are doing, particularly at this moment in time on the trains and renewing the carriages. So that's just a plug for what to appear on the 13th, because we don't have a full council meeting until after that.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Any other parliamentary bodies, Councillor Gallagher, please meet slightly to the boundary.
5th of June, attended the tourism meeting. Plans are developing for the 40th anniversary of the marina. Hyde Pier Heritage Association had a positive fate experience, and there were some complaints about the re-sighting of the pier. Hyde Alive has Pirate Day, Raft Race, Scarecrow Trail, Heritage Day, and Hyde in Bloom, all in quick succession. 17th of July, I attended the Handy Trust meeting. Summer activities are being advertised. The team is working to support children and families and achieving funding to expand provision. It is especially good to see the cooperation of the team working with our ACSOs, the community support officers, and the local police team to support members of our community in collaborative projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Webster.
Yeah, I'm a member of Waterside Cycling Action Group, which has had a conversation with Sustrans, which is the charity for walking and cycling, about the future of the Waterside line. They have come up with a preliminary estimate that to do a feasibility study to converting the line south of Marchwood into a walking and cycling route would cost between £12,000 and £28,000, depending on the scope and quite what was included in it. This compares quite favourably with the £7 million that was spent by Network Rail, looking at the feasibility of reintroducing passenger trains, which concluded that it would be very poor value for money. And Waterside Cycling Action Group has a very knowledgeable former transport planner who's produced a report on the possibility of the potential for converting the line south of Marchwood, just to be clear, not north, because the sidings in Marchwood that they're still used by the military and others, only south, essentially south from the Pilgrim Inn. He's produced a report which, if anyone's interested in this, anyone else feels at all concerned that we have a rail line that has been unused apart from the very occasional maintenance train for the past 9 years, you're very welcome to have a copy and I'll send you.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. Is there anyone else, an outside body who'd like to read a brief report? Thank you very much. I do believe we're on to the public forum. Maureen, by any chance do you want to ask a question?
Yes.
Before you do that, could you just introduce yourself? Most of us know you.
So it's not brilliant.
Pardon?
What did you say?
Would you like to introduce yourself? Most of the people here will know you, but there may be some people who don't. So you could just say where you're from.
Well, but you don't know where I'm from.
Maureen from
I'm Mrs. Train.
Sorry.
Right? And I'm not very happy with certain people on this council, because 2 years ago I had a meeting with the county councillor and the district councillor that I was given 2 minutes to show the destruction in where I walked down from to South Street. I know a lot of the mess is people being disregarding, dogs pooing. There's a cycle track there, and most of what is coming up is the tree roots. Now, there are an awful lot of people, recycled teenagers that live on Langdown, and it's a bit hard if they've got a stick or a scooter or a trolley to get over the bugs and everything. I haven't had, I know what you're going to say, when you phoned the council, I could have phoned the county council and probably got a letter back saying, we are sorry for your inconvenience, we will do something as soon as possible. Right, nothing's been done. Okay about that, that's my pet thing. Why be a councillor if you're not going to blinking well work for the residents that live there? The second thing is, any of you that know Langdown, between 29 and 35, there's a great big oak tree on a nice piece of ground. People take a little shortcut to get into Park Close. It is shedding branches, and the branches, twice it's been reported to me, once though I'm not even a councillor, and I keep telling people I'm not, it hit people on the head. Who does it belong to? If you find out who it belongs to, can something be done about it before there is a bad accident? That is between 29 and 35. Hobart Drive. Right? I would like something done about that, because something might hit me on the head and knock some sense in. The third thing I would like to say, Chairman, is praise this council. I was on this council for a while. I am very proud, which all of you should be, what our maintenance men do. I'm very pleased to be told that you now have given them a proper workshop. And I know that quite a few people put work for this. Not only that, I've seen them go out in muck and bullets and have to go and sit in the mess room with their wet clothes on and eat their sandwiches. I'm glad to say they've now been given that themselves. They deserve everything they get in the good way. And the last thing, and then I'll shut up because I'll go on. The last thing I want to say is congratulations. I hear that the maintenance team are entering Hiving Bloom, and I do hope that they will, because they deserve to, and they are a pride to this parish council.
They are.
Okay, thank you very much. And when you get the answers, can I have it in writing if something is going to be done about the two things I've brought up? Thank you. Bye-bye.
I can only echo what Maureen has said about our maintenance team. It's probably our jewel in the crown. All our staff are fantastic, but obviously they're front facing and they're the ones, everyone comments on the hanging baskets, compass, roundabout. So they say they're a real credit to us, and they do deserve the correct facilities, and it's nice that we've eventually managed to get around to that. And make the most of it. But as I say, we're also blessed with a great office team as well.
Chairman, can it be passed on to the maintenance staff that a lot of people do appreciate what they do?
Mr. McLean, I've got an answer for you. Okay, so please don't go there. You're right where I was from. 2 years ago, maybe longer, I met Mrs. McLean in the Cotway into South Street.
Yes, and you gave me 2 minutes.
And you pointed out undulations in pavement and some work that's overgrown. So, the overgrown foliage was the job of the district council, who I wrote to and went back and cut some of it back. The pavement was firstly inspected by a highway officer who compared that to their standard undulations and said, compared to this bit, it was pretty good, but they would do something to flatten a bit of it out. And that's what happened then. If the pavement got worse, we'll go down, have another look, and do it again.
But that isn't the pavement. That is a thoroughfare, and I just think it's disgusting if people aren't taking.
But they were.
Yeah, but that's 2 years ago that I met with you. So it doesn't matter who it was. It needs doing. It needs looking after. I will say that we used to be a very, very proud council.
We'll go back again and look.
Huh?
I'll go back again and have a look.
Sorry, in response, so I've had a similar tree issue. I appreciate it's not my ward, but they came to me, so I apologise, Councillor Collins. But in Hobart Drive, there's a large tree that I did report and didn't get cut back. It seems very similar to the one that you're reporting, but I think it's slightly further along. So And I went and saw the footpath, and I saw the persons like Malcolm did, and I thought the county council, not the council, but the county council fobbed us off, but we'll have to go back and nag them again.
Well, the thing is, it's a council estate that it's on. 2 people have been hit on the head with little sticks and everything. I walked that way just now, and stuff's coming up.
There's been a similar tree elsewhere.
My point is, let's bless our maintenance men and give them all the help they possibly can. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Get this on.
Okay, folks, let's carry on with the meeting. So very public forum. Now it is brief and it's underlined in bold, but people seem to be blind to those words. Questions, councillors to councillors. This is your councillor Wade.
Still available and opportunities for funding rare. Can you update councillors on your efforts to grow the road footpath, which I know is a long gestating wish of yours?
I'm assuming that's the councillor Wade.
It's the county councillor, yes.
Okay. I had a numerous attempts to try and get a path down Welling Road North. The last attempt, last year, I had a meeting with the county council who told me we haven't got any money, and it was a proper meeting on this path, that the best thing to do is to apply for still money. Well, since LGR has come along, and it's clear that the millions and millions of pounds New Forest District Council still money they're sitting on needs to be spent before it gets sucked into the Southampton coffers, metaphorically speaking, of course. I asked Sean if we could provide, I think I asked Sean, asked Marcus, I do ask my apologies, asked Marcus, is it possible if we could put an application in the parish council for still money to do the feasibility study for the path? And although I haven't got word by word duties of memory, I got the impression the response was a negative. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. NFPC have confirmed that our feasibility study would not be covered under the grant, SIL grant application.
Okay, well, to go further than that, then I think we need to look at putting in a straight request for the SIL money and get a proper figure out and use that, because I'm sure you can do a good estimate for it. That's the answer to that.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other questions of councillors to councillors? Councillor Webster.
Yeah, is the chair aware that Frank Collins, Chief Executive of Red Farm, responded to the chair, to a letter the chair wrote? And this has actually given quite a lot of hope to members of the community, judging by social media. Except that there are a few points which need to be clarified. The 3 main ones are that the vessel refit has not taken place, has not been booked. There is no replacement for Ashley as business manager of Hythe Ferry. And it's clear from her reply that the piles, also known as the dolphin, which is the structure that holds the pontoon, stops it from going towards Southampton, needs to be entirely replaced. And I understand that 3 quotes have been received for that, but no work has not been commissioned. And people who are much closer to the ferry than I am think that there is 0 chance of the ferry resuming this summer, by the end of the summer, as Frank Collins stated in her letter, was the ambition, still the ambition, because they actually have to replace the entire piling, as well as get in the new pontoon, which will be supplied by the Army at Marchwood. So I would suggest that we should respond via the chair, a polite response, thanking her for the letter, and posing some additional questions.
Okay. If you'd like to email me your points, I'll do that. I think the councillor Wade things.
I've got 2 questions for you, sir, actually. Would you be able to ask the parish clerk what we would be
You don't have to do that.
I know, but this is the way it's done. Would we be able to apply for a SIL funding for the path to Dibden Furring, as they won't provide money for feasibility study, would we be able to apply for SIL funding to support the path in?
I can answer that one because I asked it at the same time, and they said no.
Really? But it's normal infrastructure.
They said that type of infrastructure should be provided by the county council.
And the county council said it should be provided by the district.
I will forward you the emails.
Please do, and I will take that up. And the second question, Chairman, would you very kindly ask the parish council staff to let Councillor Wade M and Councillor Darren P know who the tree belongs to that is causing Mrs McLean and other residents such trouble? Then we can take the appropriate action to get it.
I shall check our mapping system in the morning.
Councillor Wade.
Is don't bother with that. I'm going to go take a picture and report it. Just let's not waste officers' time. Malcolm, come on. Second, is the chairman aware that Hyde Fire Station are advertising for retained firefighters? So if anyone knows anyone who would wish to listen for 5 minutes by fire station and wishes to be a on-call firefighter, they have been used and they have been valuable, particularly with recent Heathland fires alongside Bewley and Hardley. And I know a few people who do it, and it's a rewarding job, and they contribute to the community. And by the way, is the chairman aware there's still Community Spirit Awards and Environment Awards, and that all councillors should nominate people and encourage the community to do so? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. And answer to the first question, I was worried that you were suggesting I apply. I thought it might be in the comments of my chair at the moment. Second question, yes, that's very apt. It's like the road to house paid with good intentions. I'm going to nominate someone, but I just haven't got around to doing it yet. And I think that's what we need to do. We need gentle reminders to do that. So if we could all pick up the banner and nominate one person, that would be fantastic. Are there any? Councillor Webster?
Just one quick question for Councillor Malcolm Wade. I was very grateful to Councillor Alex Wade, Councillor Flipdown, for supplying their reports in advance of the meeting, enabled me to read them. I wasn't able to read your report in advance of the meeting, and would it be possible to supply it in advance of the meeting, even if you're dotting the final I minutes before? Would it be possible to send it to other councillors before the start of the meeting?
Can I respond? I will always endeavour to do that, but because a lot of the information I get is hot off the press, that's not always possible. But I did actually forward them to Mel at least 5 minutes before the meeting started today. Probably not enough to assimilate, which I really apologise for that, but that was it. I did include a bit about the knowledge, that's what we got.
I think the intention was that by supplying the reports prior to the meeting, it would only be last minute updates that would be needed to give at the meeting. Is there anyone else who's got?
So, Councillor Harrison, is the chairman aware that previously, way back, all these reports were put into the actual agenda so that we had time to digest them, and members of the public had time to digest them? Remember?
No, yes, it did.
Yeah.
I'm not. Exactly, let's stop that.
And the
Problem is the agenda would be 3 inches thick.
It was.
yeah, it's all on Harrison.
But there was some
Yes, I mean,
but you can understand what everybody's saying and come up with some.
It is good.
That wasn't just.
I did say
I mean, seeing as we now
I didn't suppose to.
supply things digitally, whether or not it's 3 inches or 3 foot shouldn't really matter. But as I say, we could all aim to do that. That would be brilliant. It's nice to know that we can learn from past experience, isn't it, Councillor Harrison?
Yeah.
Right. Last orders. Anyone else wants to ask a question?
Is the chairman aware that the Langdown residents are very confused who their councillor is, and can they be sort of like, I mean, we know we can work together and they can play to anybody, but I think I get asked that quite often now. No one seems to be aware of who it is.
Well, on the parish website, all the councillors are listed with their wards. And I do believe when we deliver focuses, which we do everywhere, it's also listed on those as well. I do believe Councillor Jones was...
That was the point, because actually I queried with Alex who Kensington Fields was, because I wasn't sure if it was ours or whether or not it was at that end. So I was wondering whether or not maybe the larger is so it's Hyde Central Ward and this covers, and then the key roads, and maybe if it's an estate like Langdown, it says Langdown, Netley, or whatever, you know, all of the stuff on the left-hand side of the beach as well, all of the stuff on the right-hand side, you know. So something like that gives a bit of a clue, because to be honest, I don't know the answer to that question.
We'll take that under advisement and we'll see what we can do. Councillor Dow.
Is the chairman aware that on the first Tuesday of the month I am at Hyde Market, and anyone in the area can come and have a chat with me, and we work as a team, so it really doesn't matter in many cases who the councillor is, because we will all casework and keep the ward councillor informed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor. It's a team game, Councillor. And I'm sure you're all aware that everyone refers to the council. People have got no idea of the levels of council and their responsibility. Just to add that into the mix. Right, so spot it on the Councillor. Go on, Councillor.
Which reminds me that the lady who actually contacted me was after Julie Lewis.
Did you give her an email?
I had to put pen to paper and a stamp on it in order to deliver it. And she was complaining about his lack of attendance at the water part in Parliament the other day when that was discussed, but he could turn up for the discussion afterwards. And she's a volunteer at Chesterfield Lakes and felt that water was very, very important, given how many times we lose our water around here.
Well, no one can doubt the passion that our councillors have for the residents and the area. Now, can I assume that we're coming to an end on the questions to councillors?
Yes.
Move on to go at spot. Right. Topic of the month, especially amongst politicos, is LGR. Amongst the public, probably zilch interest.
Absolutely.
But for us who are involved in politics, it's the bread and butter. So, I'd like to thank our staff for putting information on the website, putting both the links to Hampshire County Council's consultation and NFPC's as well. Thank you very much for that. So, to note that there is our place future public consultation available until the 27th of July. Have your say. Our place, our future, common place. And the council's confirmed its favoured option for a new unitary authority. Councillor Wade.
So, the council, I believe there are two options. I mean, I'm going to park what I think will happen, because it's about what we want to happen. The council over the road, there are two options in which you can see positives and negatives. But the council over the water, led by fellow Alex W., has used the phrase this week in their meeting discussion, we want to let the city breathe, in their argument of bringing the water side to join them as their preferred option. And I'm deeply concerned by that sentiment and that sentence. And while there are, it's not perfect, the fact that NFDC wish to go with 3 other rural authorities, basically the size of Hampshire, and I don't know how many councillors and how democratic representation you're going to get. You have 6 members for Hyde and Dixon on the district, 1 county councillor. Who knows how many people are going to represent Hyde, Marchwood and Milton moving forward? It is really the opposite of devolution, in my personal opinion. I do think, realistically, I can see us joining Southampton. I can see, unfortunately, I think the government, I think Southampton, I think the county, and I do think NFDC are unlikely to get their preference, but I do think on balance it is probably what the residents prefer, and I think it's the one that I, as a parish councillor as well, knowing that I don't think a city authority will consider the needs of our residents and understand that we have areas of deprivation, areas of challenge and facilities that we need, that we aren't going to be used as an excuse just to put all the unpopular developments on our side. So if it says in here, confirm its favoured option, on balance, my favoured option is the New Forest District's Rural Authority. Not without concerns, but I think from a parish council perspective, that's where I'm leaning.
Councillor Jones.
For anyone who is filling it in, if it's got a particularly busy moment, it will tell you that there will be an email come through that you need to click on to confirm that your submission is going to be part and parcel of it. For me, that came through 2 days later. So do be aware that it doesn't necessarily come through straight away. So if you don't then click on what you have just spent maybe an hour completing with all your thoughts and feelings about it, won't actually go on. However, it was quite nice that we had a nice meeting with a consultant that had, was discussing with those who are from the waterside for a long time and about how they originally maybe felt part of the New Forest and how we've been hived off from it in a strange sort of way. But it was good, and that's apparently going to form part of NFDC's document submission.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Wade.
Just a clarification. One thing that is unclear is how representation is made. And I raised this at the last meeting. It could be based on county divisions, it could be based on district wards, that they don't know. But there has to be a plan by the end of September to put, when the plan goes to government, it needs to include the governance of the authority and how it will impact. Because this is one of the things that's been unclear at the moment. The other issue, what concerns me about the New Forest District Council is they have a very strong economic argument because it is a high revenue earner. But they are not using that to the benefit, influence to get what they want. For example, the rural community to which Alex is referred is the favourite one that we've all voted for. It requires an economic powerhouse because it's full of elderly Hampshirites requiring social care, loads of children, it's rural, it's not got a lot of industry, it has a water side. But the New Forest is the ability to make that work financially, contribute to it, because it can punch financially by its way. The Forest District Council is very wealthy. It is the other. They are another 3.3 million, understated last year, but quite close enough. So they can do it, but they haven't used that argument enough to back their case. And I've explained it to the lead of the council, and when I had a meeting with the chief exec, I've made it again Friday. But unfortunately, the unitary authority is every option, be it county or KPMG, every one but one has with Southampton. One out of all the options that Hampshire has, the options that the others have, they've all ended up with Southampton, either in part or as a whole district. So to keep the district as a unified authority, you need to have a plan B in how you work with Southampton to do that. And until that starts to have some impact on the leadership in the we're going to end up being pulled along instead of being impairing from our own fate.
Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment? So you're going to have to put your hand up, Ben.
Okay,
You're really a big poker player all the time.
Just very briefly, given that it does seem that the way it's going is that the Waterside will join Southampton, is there not an opportunity then to start exploring the opportunities there, and particularly strengthening our links with our transport links with Southampton, looking for a long-term solution for the ferry, which will need support forever if it's going to exist. It's never going to exist, but it's vital for our community, so it should be supported. We have an improved number 9, we have a very poor number 8 service, which serves Challenge Way and Marchwood. It's only once an hour and a half gap in the morning peak. is there any opportunity for starting dialogue with Southampton to say, great, you want us, what are you going to give us?
Can I just say, one, that would probably be more down to the mayor. I think they've got great, the Hampshire, the strategic authority there, they've got a greater input on transport.
No,
They haven't.
no, from memory, the idea of strategic planning, but not major road systems. All the important stuff like highways, small level transport, and social care, all those things, bins, all stuff that's a bread and butter, is being done by you. I think it's only something strategic. I don't believe they can make strategic decisions, strategic transport decisions. I'm not certain about the bus contract. I think that's, I'll be surprised if the mayor's involved. I might be wrong, I'll have to have a look at that.
What do you think is not to get too excited about it? Remember, before this consultation is going on, it's going to be decided by a government minister.
It is consultation.
I do believe Councillor Wade.
No, Philip hasn't spoken. Right.
Councillor Downs.
I think it's really incumbent on us as residents to make sure that we put our views in all of the consultations going forward. Yes, we should be engaging with Southampton, but equally Southampton should be engaging with us. If they put in their plan that they want to work with the waterside, what are they doing about making sure that there is communication? Because the success of any unitary authority is communication. And on all the current unitary authorities, those that are successful are those that are communicating properly as a council, but also communicating with residents. And I'm afraid it's not a good look if that level of communication isn't happening at the moment. And there are two really key things. I mean, if you talk to people outside of councillors and politics, people want representation, people that they can talk to, and people want services that are properly funded. And those two things aren't necessarily fitting together very well, because to have a unitary council that can fund the services that we need, it needs to be larger, not smaller. And of course, the larger it is, the more distant it appears. So we've got to try and square that circle. Thank you.
Councillor Wade.
Yeah, I would just think that Councillor Dowd is absolutely right. And when I completed the form, I'll be honest with you, I had intended to be more positive towards NFDCs, but I couldn't. I'm just not behind having a geographical location that is that big. Bear in mind that it won't be an infinity-sized council of councillors. So how, and with the other wider planning rules that have been proposed by the government, it feels like, and there's no, I don't know what happened in Parish Town Council, there's no real, they've always been ignored and forgotten. So my concern deeply is just how much local representation will there be on local matters, and that is a lack of reassurance. Philip hits the nail on the head. People don't care about, people just want their potholes filled and their houses built and their local businesses supported and fairly funded. Frankly, it's all a bit of a sideshow and distraction, and everything we talked about is going to be pushed back because of LGR and all the money, and it's utterly frustrating. But the problem I have with all the councils are that we are being treated like a child going through a divorce. Everyone wants us to come their way, and no one's asked where we want. And my deep concern is that people are going to want us for our benefits, but not come and ask us what we want. And none of this process has really given me confidence that it has the best interest of Waterside in heart. So we're going to end up going for the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, I probably when I was read this item out, I think it was more meant to be for any updates as opposed to turning into a debate. We could always have a debate down.
It does say confirm the favoured option.
I think where I was going with this one was
this council, we've talked about this for hours. Yeah. The public, they don't understand it. That was whether if we made a statement, this is our kind of option as a representative, at least the public may be supportive in making a decision, rather than just talking rubbish and saying absolutely nothing, and not actually saying this is what we believe as a council. For our community, would be the best thing. That's what I was going on.
Councillor Wade.
But what we want is what's best for our residents. And perhaps we need to formulate that in form of words that is the mantra of this council. Because everybody around this table has an ultimate objective. And we need to reassure the residents of that fact. But we are limited in what we can do. That's the problem, isn't it?
Councillor Jones.
Then maybe the words are that we will work with whatever it is we end up with. As a parish, we will work with whoever. I mean, we're not going to have that decision. That decision is not going to be ours. NFDC, Hampshire, everyone, the Secretary of State, they're making that decision. From a parish point of view, we will work with whoever the authority is above us to do the best for our residents.
Councillor Webster.
Yeah, obviously we will need to do that, and obviously we would want to reflect which is our residents. But I think the point that Sean was making was that do we want to actually come up with what the parish council believes would be the best option? It might not be the option chosen, but if we, as actually, we're the nearest thing that people have to a representative body for Hyde and Waterside, not people who go to meetings in Lyndhurst and live in New Milton. Is that what you're proposing? I know you weren't making a proposal, but you were just an idea.
Exactly. If it's not made clear to the community what this authority's preferred option is, that was all I was getting.
So why don't we try and come up with our preferred option as a council? We might not be able to do that, but why don't we at least have a go? And then we could potentially give a short explanation, which we could put on the website, as to why we collectively, if we all do agree, or if the majority of us agree, we can make that clear as well. It might be helpful to people, because who are they going to listen to?
Should we go about that? Don't get that, because we can't raise expectations, because that will be wrong, because we have actually no influence on those projects.
What I'm saying, we're asking people to take part in consultation, or
Yes.
we're giving our council's points of view. Councillor Wade.
I mean, Malcolm is right that we can make that clear. As long as you explain who makes the decision, the reality of the situation, and manage expectations, you can give an opinion that we think is the general majority opinion. Now, I appreciate that I've often talked a bit of rubbish, as we mentioned, but I did propose at the beginning, I suggested an option on balance that I thought would be the best choice. Sure. So my proposal would be, as a parish councillor, on balance, because it's not perfect, is that I think the council should veer towards the rural authority, because I think that is generally more reflective of local opinion.
Councillor Jones.
Or we say that we are in favour of remaining with the New Forest area, whether or not that becomes part of a greater, more urban area, or it becomes part of rural, but that we maintain our links to the forest and that we are not hydros.
The only thing I'm conscious of is people using the word option. Options are the NFDC's options and the Hampshire County Council's options. So,
And Southampton City.
Yeah.
so what option are we talking about?
Well, we're not. We are talking about something that preserves our links with the New Forest.
And there's one additional point to be made on that. Our community already suffers severe severance from the national park, from the road, the A326, the inability to cross unless you have a car, or no bus links. If we are hived off and split, so the rest of the New Forest goes one way and we join Southampton, it's not joined up.
Okay. Councillor Bell.
Yeah, I mean, we have got to this point before, and I explained why it is really difficult to make a hard and fast decision. As a councillor, I don't have the information I need to say definitively this is a better option, because I don't know what the financial implications of the models that have been presented are. I would be reluctant to talk to residents who are looking in terms of what Unitary Council is going to provide the services that they need, particularly if they have a disabled family member, or if they have need of social care, or so on and so forth, because that will really depend on the financial stability of the chosen option. And unfortunately, none of us has the information to make that decision. So the only decision we can really make is where our heart is, whether we feel that we are a rural authority, or whether we feel we've got better links with Southampton because of the business and so on and so forth. And I have to say, the more I talk to people outside of the political sphere, the more that argument becomes more complicated, not less complicated, because different people have different desires, different needs. So I don't really think that we can say this is the model that is going to benefit all of our residents, because there are going to be pluses and minuses with whichever model is chosen.
Took my eye off the ball. Did anyone on the side have the hand? Some ghost hands. Right. Councillor Wade.
Compromise. We can say that we believe we are part of the New Forest. And we believe that any unitary authority should keep all of the New Forests together. Right, which is nothing we can make that. Our preferred option, because we are a rural area, would be to go with a rural authority, as Alex is suggesting. However, if the government who makes the decision were to attach us to an urban authority, we will do whatever we can to get the best result for our residents from that outcome.
Right. That is a great political speech, but what we need is a strap line. Most people are just going to want
hands off.
Councillor Wade.
I've just listened to Malcolm. I'm also very cautious of. We always say we want to be part of a rural authority, but I also am acutely aware that Hyde isn't rural, Marchant isn't rural, Tottenham isn't rural. It's on the edge of it, it's the biggest urban area, hence why everyone wants to take us and be our friend and spend all our council tax money. But I think that if you're going to have something in the parish council, I don't think people, if you live in Mangan or in Holyland, do you consider yourself rural? Part of the New Forest district, yes, but I think rural, I don't know.
Semi-rural.
We're not rural, we're not urban.
We've got trees in rural.
Can I play devil's advocate here?
I mean, yes.
Us around the table here are being, I use the word presumptuous, to say that we know what everyone wants. I would find it really difficult as a council to give our position, because it might not be representative of our residents. I think the best we can do is what we've done now, is we've said, this is the county's options, this is the district's options. It's make your views known on the consultations.
But Sean was saying we should have opinions, a position.
No position, really.
We have to have a position.
Because your community leaders might think the public is so confused, and it looks to its leaders, its representatives, and say, well, this is our view.
Yeah.
And then they can go off and say, oh, what's
That's what I said. The compromise covers every option.
Councillor Webster.
I think we've heard both Vicky and Malcolm articulate very well this point about not dividing the New Forest from us. We are part of the New Forest, but we're not absolutely clear. Are we rural? Are we semi-urban? I'll be a bit more urban than semi-urban. So could we not, and given that maybe we should limit what we say to what we can absolutely all agree, which is, I mean, unless anyone thinks that it's a good idea would be a good idea to split the New Forest district up into the waterside and the really rural bit. We could say, don't cut us off from the New Forest. You know, that could be our strap line. And then you say, but to be honest, the other points about quite where we join, that's much more complicated, and here are the options.
Okay. Right, I'm very conscious that there's two people I've never heard from yet. Sandra, would you like to say anything? And Habib, would you like to say anything? Sandra first.
Well, I was thinking that Malcolm's statement sort of summed up certainly what I feel. That, yeah, we don't want water source in the forest.
Okay.
And personally, I coming from what I call a pocket, an actual village. I see Islington as more suburban than the nature of the place. It is really suburban. I've lived in all sorts of different places. It really isn't rural. But I sense that the links are with the forest. But again, we work with whatever.
Okay, maybe Sandra's point there, we've got to be careful because there's already been some discussion about an option which wasn't listed there, which was take the water side off and lump that in. I think there was an option.
It's a KPMG option. It's one of the ones that KPMG will be looking at.
A, B and C. C is splitting off the water side and chucking it in Southampton.
What I'm saying is with this.
It's horrendous.
Right. Habib, would you like to say anything?
Well, I'm more confused than anybody else because I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But if even the residents decide they want to stay with waterside, with this new forest, do we have the option to say who decides at the end of the day? If even the residents decide they want to all stay with the new forest, do we have the right to say the government decides, doesn't it?
Yes.
Doesn't matter what we say or the residents say, at the moment
as Sean correctly pointed out,
but I'm
the
happy to
community
give opinion.
looking for some direction from the leaders.
I'm happy to go Sean in direction, but at the end of the day we have to make it clear.
We're going to make Sean the king of pies, okay?
That's it.
Declare a principality.
I have to
Yeah.
So, having gone around in circles,
So what does Sean have to say?
It's a contentious issue, isn't it? Now this form of words, with Vicky's add-ons and Alex Mason's reports as well. We've got the recording. Do you want us to come up with something which keeps us, we want to part of forest, we all know that.
Yeah.
But we will work with whatever's decided.
Yes.
As soon as that we will do the best opportunity with the partners that we are allocated. So
because we want best for
actually, that come across the other message. That's where I was coming from. It's our community. We're doing what we can.
Good one.
Councillor Wade, you give your hand up.
Our red line is not splitting the district.
Yeah. Is that how it is?
Is there anyone else who wants to say anything before we draw the line? Councillor Harrison.
Just a quick, I agree with everyone, John, straight away, but Malcolm, you said part of Wolves Works, which was that if we don't to Southampton, we will all do the best we can for people. Do we know there's going to be a we? Are we seeing anything that says...
When I said we, I meant we as a council.
Yeah, but are we...
Parish councils are still going to be in existence. LGR doesn't cover parish.
Well, that's what I know. I know it doesn't cover it, but do we know that they're not going to mess about with parish and town councils?
Not at the moment. In the plans they've got, parish and town councils remain. I mean, you need an act of parliament to appoint them, because it's their own statute, we're here by statute. So at the moment, we're okay.
But they are talking about citizen powers.
They're talking also about keep area committees.
Yeah, so it's not entirely clear.
Should have arranged it now, Chairman.
Well, the last one. That was that.
Right, I can draw that item to a close. Thank you, okay. So, next ones are insurance schedule, which I'm sure you've all read through line by line.
Yeah.
Are there any questions you would like to ask of the clerk?
No. Well, very good. It's proposed to brief this.
I think it's just a case of notice, insurance.
It is an audit requirement.
Okay.
For us to do.
Okay, yep.
Noted.
Right, next we move on to policies. So to consider recommendations from the GPNF to adopt the following policies. Again, I'm trusting that you've all read through these. So, members' absence apologies. Are there any? Councillor Dowd.
Yeah, I did raise this before. I think formally notifying the clerk is absolutely expected. But I think at the very least as a courtesy, the chairman should be pre-warned as well, and absence should go to the chairman. I would say that that's something I would like to see as good practice, but I would say at the very least as a courtesy.
Thank you, please, Sean. I have no problem watching
Chairman, in the last paragraph of page 2, apologies to the clerk and chair of the committee.
Yeah, so I'm looking at page 1, non-attendance at meetings, second paragraph.
Yeah, no, that
If it can be added there, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dowd. Councillor Wade.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think that all councillors should be written to reminded of this, because it's not always consistent. It certainly wasn't when I chairs. And with people doing stuff in traffic is a different kettle of fish. But people who are not attending, unless they've been given special dispensation for long periods of time, they should be sending individual apologies per meeting that they're expected to be doing.
Okay. Thank you. So, is there anyone else who'd like to comment or make amendments to the policy?
No. So proposed.
Okay, so we've got a proposer. Can we have a seconder? All those in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Okay, more to for us. Okay, next is IT. Again, I'm assuming that we've all read this. Do we have any questions or anything people want to debate or amend on this item? Okay, in that case, can I have a proposer?
Happy to
Councillor
propose.
Joe, can I have a seconder? Councillor Wade. All those in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions? No? That's gone through. Okay, consider unauthorised encampments policy. Okay, the floor is open to anyone who'd like to make a comment or an amendment.
Question in this section. It covers all the issues when we had that family visit a few years ago.
It does, yes. So, since we had visitors last time, there has been a change to the law. And one of the things now is that trespass is a criminal act. It's recommended that the council has a policy, and therefore that will help us quickly act to go forward on it.
Excellent. So proposed.
Okay. A seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? And this is March, we've got a proposal to build a travel site. Okay, that's that one then. So, next is item 15 to consider and 14, sorry. Request for absence, to approve the request for absence from Councillor Multimer for a leave of absence of up to 12 months. unless you're aware, she's just explained this. So I think you've got a legit reason. Does anyone want to comment on this, or anyone propose that we just accept her request? You going to comment or propose it?
Both.
Your comment first, please.
Well, I mean, given that we've given a similar option at District Council, I think it will be consistent to be able to do the same on a case-by-case basis at Parish Council, so I'm happy to propose.
I think Councillor Wade had something before you, Councillor Wade.
The old,
Councillor you first, please.
I just think it's important to have this policy because it might be the first time a colleague of mine has gone on maternity leave, and I think it might, having these sort of policies in place might encourage more diversity of representation from the community.
True, we shouldn't create barriers to people to serve as councillors.
So I would always going to support it, but I think it's welcome to have these things in official documents.
Councillor Wade.
I was going to say exactly the same thing that Alex has just said, actually. So I second it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to make a comment, or can we get on with the vote? So who's prepared to? Okay, Alex is proposing to leave of absence, and his dad says yes. All those in favour? Thank you.
Oh, Chairman, and when is the council written a letter of congratulations to the council?
No, we haven't got it.
Well, so the reason being is because this is the first time in my memory of being on this council that a female councillor has had children, actually. And I think it would be a nice touch if we recognise that, especially she works hard in children.
Okay, sort the card out.
I'm happy to help you do that, but it's a recorded meeting, and obviously she's watching, I'm sure. So, but yeah, I will speak to you privately.
Okay.
I did put it on WhatsApp because she's got.
Okay, well, I'll just extract my foot from my mouth and hope that she doesn't actually watch this. I'm sure she's got, well, she's good, I'm sure she's got a lot more to do rather than watch us. Unless she wants enough for kids this week. Maybe that's it. Right, so, now on to item 15. To consider and agree the project suitable for an application to be made for the council, the SIL grant.
Yeah.
Go there, does anyone want to make any comments? Councillor Webster.
Yes. On C, which is Sedum Roofing Bus Shelters, retrofit 3 existing bus shelters with Sedum Green roofing to promote biodiversity and reduce water runoff. Sorry if I have my eye on the ball. The first I've seen of this proposal, which is an estimated cost of £10,000, £3,300 per bus shelter. Did the person who proposed this ask bus passengers if there were £10,000 floating around that met the criteria? Is this what they would want from it? A green roof?
So this suggestion has come through. It's been something that's been looked at in the past. This is additional money to what we could normally get. So this is to retrofit up to 3 shelters, but these are only suggestions.
Right.
We're not suggesting that you can go, if you want to, we can put all these suggestions through. These are suggestions that came from councillors and from we've already got as backup suggestions. Some suggestions you've heard already that came from councillors unfortunately didn't meet the criteria. Okay? These are suggestions that meet the criteria. However, we do not need to put in all of these.
Okay.
These are just suggestions. So if there's ones that people don't like tonight, this is the first time that the councillors have had the opportunity to see it as a whole.
Right. Well, I wasn't meaning to sound critical.
No.
Putting an application in to improve bus shelters, but as a regular bus user myself, that is not what I would.
So we can't get a SIL one to cover new shelters or to renovate them.
Right.
Under the green credentials, it is felt that it could be possible to retrofit cedar roofs. Now, there's no guarantee we will get these applications. These are just suggestions.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt. I think that's a complete waste of money.
Councillor Wade.
First question is, why, I did mention earlier on a park in Shaw Road, coming from the car park towards the park and then the football grounds that we were just in friendly because obviously Shaw Road floods a lot, and I wondered why that's not being considered. Secondly, once we agree with projects, I'm happy for us to put them all in, because collectively this isn't actually a lot of money we're going for compared to what other areas get on individual bids, let alone combined. So I'm quite happy to support everything people like, but if I could just get clarification on the Shaw Road part.
So, as you're aware, the footpath at Shaw Road was rejected last time. The feedback we got from it is it needs to be as a larger project. We're in talks at the moment with Highland Dibden Football Club, Youth Football Club, to actually come back with a larger project that will cover a lot of different infrastructure down at Shaw Road, and that will be submitted to the next round of Silvits. Yes. In the meantime, the football club are submitting an application of their own for work going down at Applemore, at their Applemore site. And it is felt that if we were to put something in at the same time with them, it would greatly need two projects. Thank you.
Right, so, Councillor Dowd.
Yeah, I like the forest front nature notice boards. I think we should support that. I think the forest front basketball hoop and hard standing has merit. I agree with Ben that the cedar roofing is probably not for this time round. I'm curious about D, the outdoor fitness stations in Shaw Road. I think we would need to know how well used they would be for that one. As a chess player, I'm intrigued by E, but again, I'm not sure of how widely used that would be in that area. I'm in favour of F, and I'm in favour of G, and I have a question mark on H, because I think there'll be yes, the football kick around goalposts, Nodsway Shaw Road.
So I'll come back with on H first of all. There is some put together goalposts there at the moment. They've been there for 15, 16 odd years. They are showing their age, so this would be a replacement of those and just put in some proper vandal-proof goals. And it's only one goal at each side like we have now. So it's an informal, so the kids can have an informal kick around.
Do we have any evidence to suggest that the benefit of that would outweigh the issues that might cause?
They're already there, and those areas are quite well worn. One of those way we actually move the goals quite regularly so that the ground can repair itself. So we do know that children like to use these kick-about areas.
Then I'm happy to support that one then, if it's...
Councillor Wade, sorry I didn't mean to talk over there, Councillor Chairman.
I was just going to say, I support football goals, because we've got the Euros at the moment, and the finance is doing really well. No, we used to encourage youngsters, or boys and girls, to play football. And outside organised games, sort of kick about a goal, we grew up doing it, so I support that. And I broadly agree with other members on the other things. I mean, those bus shelters do look quite nice, but they're probably more important things we could spend on it. If we're not going to get all the money, I will put the other things to greater priority.
Okay. I'll only say one thing. When I was a kid, it was jumpers for goalposts.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to share my age. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken who would like to? Councillor Osborne.
I'll just say, as Margaret said, those football goalposts have been there at least 40 years at Nodsway, and they're always well used, and often the younger children taking up football with their volunteer parent leaders use those goalposts then. Obviously, I've not been involved in that since, but I think that is an excellent thing. We need more more things at Nailstone, not less. The rest of it, as you say, I think the bus shelters, we need probably better seating. I think Ben and I have met at the bus stop before and realised that most people are trying to sit on a corridor about 6 inches, if you're lucky, wide. So that would be better than the roofs, I think.
Is there anyone who hasn't spoken yet who would like to say something? Because I'm going to put my 2 pence for anything. I'm probably not as big a chess fan as Councillor Down, but I think it's a really good idea, something like that. The chess tables out there. I think you'd probably get more people get more people playing than you do now. I mean, we know in other areas like New York and places like that where the tables are out, you know, it creates like a mini community, and I know there is a chess club within Hive, and it might prompt some people to dust off the queens, the pawns, and
Sorry, can you explain what 2 permanent chess? I'm presumably you bring your own pieces, do you? You're not talking about one of these giant movable pieces.
No, we're talking. So what they are is basically 2 concrete seats and a concrete table, and it's made into it, so they're vandal-proof and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then people bring their own pieces and play.
The chessboard is impregnated within concrete.
Yeah.
Councillor Osborne.
Yeah, I was going to say the table tennis is very well used. It's something to do with Marcus and one of his ingenious ideas. But the table tennis just outside St Andrew's Hall is really well used at the moment, and I'd like to see something more like that. You know, like the concrete table tennis tables. We've got an area just outside the tennis court at Nose Bay, which looks fine to do something with it.
It's a very good point, and it would help young people more than chess, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, we have an instance of football hooliganism. I've never heard of chess hooliganism. You know, it's quite a
Table tennis hooliganism?
I don't know. Councillor.
My kids have hit each other with bats before, so yes.
Okay. Sometimes you wish you didn't say me. Councillor Wade.
I do know that when we've moved outdoor fitness stations in the past, we have in those Renshaw Road had feedback saying where they've gone, they don't want to put back in, and it's arguably something that could be used by teenagers and older people for fitness, age groups that our open spaces don't necessarily cover for, and I do think people would use them if they're out there. The football goals are well used. I mean, I speak from personal experience that just this weekend I saw volunteers from St Andrews bring a volunteer group and have a little event and bring football goals, all using there, and it's regularly used by groups of boys and girls in there. So I fully support that. I support all the projects. I'm glad I heard Philip and Ben speak about bus shelters, and I certainly wouldn't want to support going for that project if it meant the others, which I think are more important and more well received. And I do know Councillor Webster mentioned concerns about no seating at a bus stop in Netley View, but I don't know if we're allowed to make funding on that behalf. We commented on that.
Sorry.
Just a quickie, the piece of land where the bridge goes over at the Challenger Park, the bit where the kids kick around football and the rest of it, is any of that space ours that we could maybe put the fitness things down at this end of the parish?
There is some. The part that's on, so if you look at it, if you go to Orchard, the piece on the right hand side, the informal open space, that was always earmarked for future building, or a youth club or something like that. And I think there's a restriction that doesn't allow us on it. The other side does get very wet, but I can have a look, and if we think it's a better option to move it to Cosworth than Shaw Road, then we can certainly look at it.
Right, last word is folks. Ben, do you want to say something?
Sorry, it's just that I thought Alex posed an interesting question, but Marcus and I are actually due to have a conversation about this. But do you know now, can still funding be used?
I don't think we can be.
Seating.
No, I don't think we can. Well, I will fire a very quick email off tomorrow just to confirm. If it is, then we can go for some retrofitting and everything like that. If we can't, then we get defined thing ready for the next project.
Okay, before we draw close to this item, it's my understanding and correct that everyone's in favour of all the items bar C. Yeah. Okay.
So what was the second one we're not favouring?
No, I said
Everything policy.
everything bar C. That was the one with objections raised.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Shore Road, you'd like to look to see if we could do that at Cosworth.
Just for clarity, I still don't see, compared to the other projects, I'm yet to be convinced about the chess tables.
Is there anyone else who objects to chess tables?
I don't object to it, but I had something I hadn't thought of that Stephen mentioned, because you're talking here, I think.
Yeah, it's down the bottom.
If it's an either or, maybe a table tennis table would be more appreciated by young people. But if it's both, let's have both.
Might be quite solid, and there might be an addition with the table tennis table on the ceiling right now,
Yeah.
by the breeze.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Also, lots of players have chess sets on the rivers.
Fence.
We could look. We have had a concrete table tennis table in the past. We lasted 2 days before they managed to break it. And the ones that Steph is talking about, that was originally part of the play pond, I think they called it, and it was outside of Waitrose. Yeah, and after that project finished, we repaired the table and donated it to the church for them to look after. But we can look to see a concrete table tennis table, Noatway or Cosworth. Yeah. So just to go through some notice boards, yes, that's okay. Basketball hoops, okay. Get rid of the cedar roofing. Outdoor fitness station, Shore Road or Cosworth. Outdoor chess, are we? And or. The only thing is, each one of these is an application on its own.
You've got to
Okay, I can't put them as a thing, and we've got the closing date of the 8th of August.
Go for it.
So it's a lot of writing because we've got to submit all the evidence that go with it as well. So they are quite lengthy, these.
I would champion the chess table. I know Councillor Dow doesn't. So what does everyone else think?
Queen's Gambit and go to chess table as well.
I just want to say that when I've been here, I notice there's a lot of little people, like toddlers that play out on our grove gardens. And tonight, if you looked out there were quite a few, early teenagers. And so, we think they're going to play on the chess table, or would it like
start a new
something else?
Is it movable to anywhere else?
No, once they're set in the ground so they can't be vandalised.
So you can't set fire to it or move it.
It's a fire.
I think we've
Do you
got
want to spend it for this time? And we can always put it. There's one, if people want to see one, I can ask them to photo, or there's a couple on the Bath Road recreation side ground at Liberty, with the water behind there. And we can just put that around and we can just put it into the next, and then if I can bring it back to the next time, and there's still bits at the end, which I believe is beginning of next year, we can always have a look at that.
Well, it sounding like there's a majority opinion for it, so if you put it to the vote, we'll see how it goes.
What can I select one?
I'm happy to be outvoted.
I think we're pretty clear that there is evidence of need for these other things. We've all heard directly, if anyone has heard directly from anyone wanting outside chess tables, speak up now. I haven't. But all the others, it might be a great idea. I just feel that we don't have enough understanding of whether we'd be asking for money, if it's public money, for something that would actually be used. But it might be. And if for example, Lymington, we could ask them their experience. They've installed it. Did it result in people gathering and playing chess like they do in Madison Square in New York City? I don't know.
Councillor Wade, it's Chairman, this is still money that is held by NFTC for use. Now, we might be happy not to spend it and let them spend it in Milton, Lyndhurst, Tottenham, Ringwood or somewhere else. Or we can have it spent in Hyde. I say spending it in Cardiff We do not get enough fair cut of the whip. And also,
spend it on things that
yeah, but we were agreed on all the others, and one we haven't agreed on. But the fact is, there probably are chess players. I don't believe there are chess players in Hyde and Dibden. I don't believe they wouldn't use it. But they've got no facility, so we should provide them with something. And at the end of the day, there are other places with them, so why not? So I propose we have it.
I'm actually in favour of this, but I think to stop the debate going on, we'll do a quick vote, okay?
Yeah.
So, all those in favour of the chess table, raise your hands. All those against? Anyone abstaining? Okay, well, I thought it was a stalemate, but it looks like it will be chairman. So we'll go for the chess table. Let's do that.
And a water park.
No, money there.
So I would like future consideration for investment in wheelchair accessible play areas. I have mentioned it privately. I've listened to you, and I know it's a cost. It has been requested, and it is an area that we, not in our community and others, do miss out. I know it's a huge expense, but if
That's a very valid point. Thank you. Right. Okay. Item 16, to receive the bank reconciliations for June. Is everyone?
Yep, noted.
Okay. To approve the paid expenditure for June 2025.
Happy to approve.
Thank you. To receive variance reports.
Noted.
To receive investment reports.
Noted.
Thank you. Direct debits, to approve direct debit payments set by the council.
Happy to approve.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that draws a close to that. We need to discuss the